Hello, it's week 23, and wow, it was a doozy for me. I really had a hard time with week 23. I don't know, has that ever happened to you? You just kind of, I was on a roll, and so you're feeling like your mojo's going, and then it's like, "Argh," and it just evaporates into thin air. Well, that's kind of what happened to me for week 23. And so, what do you do when your mojo evaporates? So for me, I just go to the basics. What do I know I need to get into the spread? And that's the journaling. So first off, I just got all of my journaling down. And then I just proceeded to do kind of the things that I normally do and move forward in the process. At the end of it all, I like the page. I'm not in love with the page. And for me, I've got to be okay with that and move on. When I look through my Project Life albums, there are some weeks that I not only love the story and the photographs and the pages, but just the whole thing comes together beautifully. I'm like, oh, one of my most all-time favorite spreads. And then there are other weeks I look through and I'm like, oh, not so much. And I think we have to be okay with the pages that we fall in love with and the pages and the spreads that we're just okay with. There's going to be kind of that variety. And for me at least, I have to come to a point of acceptance. So for week 23, I started working on it actually about a week and a half ago, and probably worked on it for about an hour and a half or so one day in chunks of time, and then stops, a lot of family activities to take care of, and appointments and all of that kind of stuff. And so finally I returned back to the spread yesterday and completed it. And I don't know how much longer. That may have been another hour, just kind of getting started up again. And overall, like I said, I'm okay with the spread. It's not one of my most favorite in the world, but I wanted to kind of be authentic and fully disclose that sometimes I just am not feeling the mojo. And to be honest, I am a slow scrapbooker. It takes me at least 2 hours to finish any given spread. I usually don't do it in a whole chunk of time, but rather little chunks of time throughout the day, 30 minutes here, 40 minutes here, until it's done. Sometimes I just kind of walk by and I'll put a little embellishment here or put a little button here, and then I'll walk away and then come back to it. So that's okay, and that works for me. But for some people, I guess, going quickly through the Project Life process is what works for them, and that's okay. I think you have to find your style and your methodology and be okay with that. I mean, I know the intention of Project Life was to be able to kind of quickly go through saving all of your memories and your daily and weekly events. And so you have the pockets, you put the paper in, you put the photos in, you quickly journal, and you move on to the next week. That's great, that's wonderful. However, for me, I need to be creative. I need to play with paint. I need to cut up paper and take my time and savor the process. That's just me. Even if I'm in the backyard gardening, I need to get my fingers dirty. I do not wear gloves. It's me. So I think you have to know yourself and then embrace that creative authenticity and to go with it. And sometimes, again, it works and flows seamlessly, and other times it's a little eh. So anyway, I wanted to just put that all on the table to let you know kind of where I'm at, and kind of help you appreciate why this is a little bit of a wonky week. But either way, I really appreciate you stopping by. I absolutely love all the positive energy and even the questions, so keep them coming. And see you real soon. Hugs! Okay, so first up for me this week, since I was not sure where I wanted to go for week 23, was to get my journaling in. So you will see we begin with all of my journaling essentially complete. And I'm just going to start with kind of my natural first step, which is to take all of my photographs and to place them on the white Project Life cards. For me, and this is just kind of stylistically for me, I like to have that little kind of frame of white around my photographs. I think it's appealing to my eyes at least. And frequently my spreads are doggone busy with a lot of embellishments and a lot of different pattern papers and things going on. So having the consistency of white kind of connecting the entire spread together works for me. So that's where I start. And yes, my friends, you see a basket full of laundry. The kitchen is my domain, and my hubby does not mind doing the laundry. So, yay for me. And I don't think in all the years that I've journaled, somehow I've missed telling that little tidbit. And so this week I thought I would just journal about the fact that my husband does not mind doing the laundry. Okay. So this 4x6 page that I'm working on now, I've got the journaling done, which is fine, but the photograph really gives me a run for my money. It was a 4x6 vertical image, and I cut the guy's legs off and a little bit off the top, and so I turned it into essentially a 4x4 photograph. However, in the end, I really just don't like the way the photograph and the little journaling to the left look. And so you'll see me fiddle with it a bit, and in the end, I change it up completely. But you'll see that in just a few minutes. So at this point, I'm pulling out my goodies because I want to begin the embellishment process. I'm working with 2 kits this week. One, my June Studio Calico kit, and 2, for the first time, Freckled Fawn's June Embellishment Kit. I often have a whole bunch of Project Life cards left over, in part because I kind of make and create my own Project Life cards. And so I wanted to see what it would be like to add some more embellishments to my scrapbooking collection. So those are the 2 kits that I'm using this week. Now, I also am using the gold doily that was included in the Studio Calico kit. Not sure how I feel about the gold doily, but I was going to embrace the glittery nature of it and the shine and just go with it. So I'm using the gold doily. I'm also using that gold card in kind of the center of the spread, which also came in the June kit. And so I'm not using the entire gold doily, but cutting it up and using it in a couple locations on the layout itself. I also pull out some old embellishments from earlier Studio Calico kits, including that little set of, see those little circles there? Some of them have gold on them, and they are from an earlier Studio Calico collection. These little plastic circles are really cute, and they came from the Freckle Fawn kit. Those little items in my hand are like this really thin wood veneer word bubbles. Very thin, but they're cute, and so just kind of stapling them down as well. Trying to ponder if I want to add some more labels at this point. Really unsure about the direction to go. So just kind of fiddling about. And trying to see what's next for me. I decided that I want to try stamping. You know, it's always kind of a second thought for me, the stamping. I like the look, but sometimes just the process of pulling out the stamps and the ink, I don't always follow through. But this week, I was all over it because just unsure of what I wanted to do next. But I like that stamp set. Again, that's Studio Calico. So at this point, I have this idea, and I'm just going to run with it, and that is to cut up little strips of paper. I'm mainly using the Fancy Pants 6x6 Yes Please collection, and I think 1 or 2 may also be from an American Craft paper pad set as well. So once all the strips are cut up, I am simply kind of layering them onto this 4x6 white card. It's fairly random, but I want to make sure I get a good variety of the strips on the 4x6 card. Once I'm done layering everything up, I simply trim around the edges and round up those corners as well. And I like the look that I've created, but I've still got tons of strips of paper left. So I create a second card, but this time going with a 3x4 and a slightly different design. I don't tend to be a very geometric, organized kind of gal, but I really had fun playing with these little strips of paper. I think it was kind of therapeutic. So I trim everything up, round those corners, clean my space, and I'm on to the next step, which is really just to kind of see where I'm going to go and how I'm going to incorporate these cards that I've created. So the whole 4x6 card is a lot of pattern paper to kind of work with. So I cut it in half, and I like that much better. So I'm not sure if I want to actually adhere that half down onto the white card. So while I'm pondering that, I take a look at the 3x4 card that I've created. Now the 3x4 card I also like, but I have the same problem that I have with the 4x6, which is that it's a lot of paper, a lot of color, and a lot of pattern. And so what I decide to do is to cut it up. And by cutting it up, I'm able to kind of leave some white space. Again, creating a little area where the eye can rest, and that seems to appeal to me. So I feel comfortable with that, and I'm ready to adhere those little triangles down. And in fact, on the fourth triangle, I use a little bit of dimensional tape just to kind of pop that fourth triangle up a bit and add a little bit more interest. Okay, so I like that. But I do want to include just one more thing on that photograph. My eldest son is just growing like a bad weed in your backyard, I suppose. That sounds so sad. But he just won't stop growing. Even his pediatrician is in awe. And everywhere we go, when we visit friends and family, they are absolutely shocked. And they're all measuring themselves next to him, even grown men. So my son is now officially taller than my husband's best friend. And I just kind of captured that moment in photographs and journaled about it as well. So this little collection of banners is from an older Studio Calico kit as well. And the gold banners I didn't touch because I don't tend to use gold. And so I pull them out and I'm able to incorporate them into the spread this week, which is a wonderful thing. Just kind of looking through my stash. Once I break open a kit, I don't always keep it all together. It usually gets scattered into various little containers. And this is my little catch-all container. And so I'm kind of just digging through it, looking for other items that I think will fit nicely with this week's spread. So adding some more wood veneer and just kind of creating really two little clusters of embellishments on this photograph. We found this cute little shop in our downtown area, and it had lovely candles and soaps and the most amazing cold pressed green juice. And so I included the photo really as just kind of a way to mark the lovely Saturday afternoon that we had together as a family. So at this point, again, just kind of moving around the entire two-page spread, adding banners, adding little touches of wood veneer here and there. That little ticket there, that actually came from the Freckled Fawn collection. They're little wood veneer tickets. They're terribly cute. All right, so I'm stumped, trying to figure out what next. I added a little enamel dot there. I don't like it. I end up moving it later on. Okay, so I'm comfortable enough and I'm ready to adhere my pattern paper card or half of card. And once that's glued down, I begin to create a little cluster of labels. That label tape is absolutely to die for, my friends. Love it. So I use that. I use some Martha Stewart labels. And I guess one of the labels from the Freckle Fawn kit as well. Cluster them all together and add my date. And the title card is done. I realized that I didn't check to make sure I had an E, but that's okay because I flipped the 3 upside down and we are good to go. Okay, just checking out where I am, and then I get called away. So 1 week later, I return to the layout with fresh eyes and just kind of taking a moment to add some more embellishments, create some additional kind of little clusters of goodies on the various cards. That card I did not like. So there are 2 cards that are a problem for me. That card right there with the guys, the little kids. And so I'm getting rid of that 4x4 photograph. And I actually reprinted it as a 3x4. I also don't like this 4x6 card. And so I am taking it apart, deconstructing it, and chopping it up. And the piece that I'm able to salvage, I incorporate on this new 4x6 card with the reprinted photograph. I like this look much better. It seems to fit with the layout. That 4x4 photograph was just throwing me off, I tell you. So now I'm happy. So I printed my journaling on a label, but now I have a problem. That label is too big and does not fit. So fortunately, I did 2 labels, one with the long journaling, one with short journaling. I go with the short journaling. So now just looking through my bowl of goodies, seeing if I want to add anything else there. Find that little bit of pattern paper and just add a touch of it right there on the corner. Kind of finishing off that little cluster. So at this point, I realized I like the idea of all 4 corners of the spread having the pattern papers. So pull out my Evolution die cut machine, do a little bit of embossing on the side of a 4x6 white card. Now I go back to the pattern papers. But this time, rather than creating strips of paper, I decide to use my circle punch and punch a bunch of random circles, again using the Fancy Pants pattern papers that I used earlier at the beginning of this spread. So now I have an idea. I'm going to create little pie charts or circle graphs. And so I'm cutting up the circles. Totally random here. I really don't have a plan. I'm just going with the flow. And I just begin to adhere the little sections of the pie graph down onto the paper. Now, at this point, I'm not sure whether or not I want the pie graphs, pie charts to hang off the edge. I'm not sure if I just kind of want to scatter them all over the page. But what I end up going with is placing the pie charts horizontally across the center of the card. But I'm not trying to make them all line up. I also do not want all of them to be the same type of pie chart. So some have 3 parts, some have 5, some have 2. I really wanted to have a very casual, kind of carefree look. So I need to add one more on the side so that in the end I have 5 charts going across the center of the card. So the next step for me is to add a few word stickers to the pie charts as well. Just some fun words like summer and fun, and then use a few letter stickers to kind of finish off this card. I don't need to add any more journaling. I have ample photographs, so this is really just an opportunity to kind of put one final creative touch into the entire spread. And again, to also incorporate the pattern paper on all four corners of the layout, which to me kind of creates a nice kind of cohesive look for the entire 2-page spread. I actually really like the way this card turned out, and I think I will try creating graphs again. And that's really the final touch. We are done. It's taken me a while to get this all done, but I appreciate you hanging in there with me. Hugs!